Welcome to Pieguys Pick'em. The NFL Conference Championships are upon us this weekend. Some interesting developments, especially in the AFC Championship game, but I think this should be a good game. I mean, I expect the Rams Seahawks game to be very entertaining, very good game, as the first two have been. We'll see what happens with Denver and their situation. But they are at home, so I'm not going to rule them out. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, I want to talk around the league about the coaching carousel, what's been going on, and a little bit about the teams who were eliminated last week. And we're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills are run by an incompetent person right now, incompetent people. Brandon Bean, Terry Pegula, looked completely incompetent in their interview regarding McDermott being fired and what they said about Keon Coleman. Sean McDermott took over this team. Josh Allen wasn't there. Sean McDermott got this team to playoffs with Tyrod Taylor. Yes, there was some help from Andy Dalton, but Tyrod Taylor. Sean McDermott got a team with Tyrod Taylor starting at quarterback to an NFL playoff game where they lost like 9-3 or something like that. 10-3. Maybe it was 10-3, I think, was the final score in that game. That defense, McDermott coordinated that season, was fantastic. Their offense was LaShawn McCoy and I can't remember the name of the receiver. There was a decent receiver too. But the offense wasn't very good. That's all you need to know. And then of course he gets Josh Allen, and I think they've been to the playoffs ever since that. The second, I can't remember if Josh Allen made it the first time, but I know the second season he made it. They lost to Houston. I wouldn't have fired McDermott. Sean McDermott is a good coach. He's been snake bitten a little bit against the Chiefs. He's been snake bitten a little bit in other areas. The Bills just they feel like they're cursed. I mean, the 4 Super Bowls in a row, and then of course the wide right. Tyler Bass missed a kick. They've got some kind of bad mojo around them, but he continued we talked about this all season too. The defensive personnel on this team is horrible. I mean, it's the same old guy. You got to say Tre'Davious White. He plays all right. Jordan Poyer out there. He shouldn't be out there. Matt Milano's still there. These guys are old. These guys have been Buffalo Bills for a long time. Ed Oliver's great, but there's nothing around him. Christian Benford and injury prone. AJ Epinesa is okay. But especially the linebacking and safety core this year was horrible. I mean, the corners were okay. The pass rush, when Ed Oliver was there, was fine. Joey Bosa's signing was fine. But I mean, the Brandon Bean signed Von Miller, and everybody knew, and he paid him $25 million a year. I mean, everybody knew that was the worst signing of a defensive player in a long time. No, everyone knew that contract was a disaster. When he got hurt, he was like 37 when they signed him. Like, what do you expect? The GM has been like look at the outside of Josh Allen, who they locked into. I mean, they liked him obviously, but they liked him because he played out in the cold. He's a big guy, so it's a good fit for Buffalo. Never knew he was going to turn into this. They've had good offensive coordinators. I think they've had a good coaching staff. The personnel has been horrible. I mean, outside of Stephon Diggs, who has Josh Allen had to throw to? Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. I mean, he's tight ends. Who's his next best receiver? I mean, is it Keon Coleman? Is it maybe Shakir? Shakir's been decent, but Gabriel Davis. I mean, that guy's been awful since he left Buffalo. They haven't had weapons. The offensive line has been good, but there's been zero weapons. James Cook is the only good skill position player they've drafted. It feels like, remember when they drafted Sammy Watkins? Yeah, how did that turn out? I don't know if that was still mean, but the management of the team has been horrible. They got who was the defensive coordinator? They got rid of him, the guy who allowed the Chiefs to go down the field in 13 seconds. Um, Leslie Frazier, and even him, they needed a scapegoat for that. Um, yeah, the GM should have won. I actually like McDermott. I think Buffalo it could be pretty bad. I mean, McDermott's a good defensive coach, and the Buffalo Bills have a bad defensive roster. And the halftime adjustments that he was making throughout the season were phenomenal. I mean, enabling Josh Allen to come back. Obviously, Josh Allen can carry an offense, and he has carried an offense. But this season, it's just like there's nothing left. I mean, the outside, yes, the offensive line is there. Yes, the quarterback there. Yes, the coach is there. Those are the three most important positions in football. But you need somebody on the outside as a threat. And then, of course, the comments about Keon Coleman, absolutely absurd. You don't talk about players like he's still on the team. If you want to cut him and talk about him like that, I still think that's bad, right? I'm not saying you should do that, but at least he's a little 1 degree removed, let's say, or trade him, whatever. But I mean, to talk about the key, like the Keon Coleman draft pick as if it were a horrible mistake. Well, he's still on the team. He's still the number 2 receiver because you got nobody else on this team. And to make those kind of comments, throwing him under the bus, incompetent owner, incompetent general manager, probably just sucking up to the owner, trying to leech off as much money as possible. This team, depending on who they hire a head coach, I don't know who's out there. There's nobody out there who I think is better than McDermott right now. That may, maybe Tomlin, but I don't know if he's going to go to Buffalo right away. But like, it's, it just seems like the ship is going to sink here now. And say what you will about McDermott, his 9/11 speeches and his his mistakes in the playoffs, but he's a good coach. And this guy wins playoff games in Buffalo. Yes, he has Josh Allen, but again, the defense has won playoff games. We've seen the defense stifle Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. We saw them go to Jacksonville, one of the hottest teams in the league, win there last week in the playoffs as the slight underdogs. The slight underdogs again this week took the game to overtime. Josh Allen threw 4 interceptions in that game, and the defense played well enough with that roster. Not horrible, mediocre roster, and managed to get the game to overtime. I don't think it's McDermott's fault. I think it's just been, Allen has a bad game. You have a weird, a couple weird plays against the Chiefs, the overtime rule. It just hasn't gone the Bills' way. It's been bad coin flip after bad coin flip. I don't think McDermott's the problem. I think, yes, the personnel could be improved. As I said, Brandon Beane should take more of the blame. But if you're gonna, I understand if you're gonna, say, oh, we're gonna fire Beane and then McDermott, the new GM we hire wants to hire his guy, and we'll have like a mutual parting of ways. Something, the guy, you were on what was it when McDermott came in? They had that massive playoff drought too. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And Sean McDermott would never throw Keon Coleman under the bus the way that those clowns did in the interview. So the Buffalo Bills, I don't like him anyways. Obviously, as a Dolphins fan, I do like Josh Allen though. So I mean, as much as he murders my team, he is very fun to watch, and he has made me money. But yeah, the Buffalo Bills, are, in my opinion, are the biggest loser of this coaching carousel, whatever you want to call it. I mean, at least with the Steelers, nobody ever really believed the Steelers had a chance to win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Mike Tomlin would carry them to mediocrity. But at least with them getting rid of Tomlin, they're probably getting a high draft pick in 2027. So it was time, right? With this one, I think it's just and the way it's a joke. But the Bills right now should be the laughing stock of the NFL. And it's just, you have this generational, I call him the best player in the NFL. I still think he's the best player in the NFL. And you can't win anything, and you had a decent coach. And now you're throwing wide receivers under the bus. Yeah, it's not a good look. And And Josh Allen, is a stand-up nice. He didn't like that. I can guarantee you Josh Allen did not like them throwing Keon Coleman under the bus. Okay? And Keon Coleman caught his touchdown. He almost dropped it, but he caught his touchdown last week. So, Keon Coleman's been better actually the last couple of weeks. And he's one of the reasons I didn't bet Buffalo. But, I saw him catch touchdown. Of course, Keon Coleman's going to show up today, right? He's got talent. He's got potential. It's just he's got, he's got the yips a little bit, I think. He's got butterfingers sometimes, but he's okay. I think he's going to find a job elsewhere. If I'm Keon Coleman, I'm saying, you get my ass out of here if you're going to talk about me like that. He needs a fresh start. I understand there's probably not many other teams. He's going to be wide receiver 2 like he is on this team, but someone talks to me like that, I want out the door. I talk to my agent, say, listen, how can we get out of this contract? How can we, whatever. Let's. They don't want me. They clearly don't want me. So either I'm gonna just sit at home and collect it, or I'm gonna. You don't really want to half, do it and put the bad film out there, but I'm gonna say, I want out the door. That's it. I want out of Buffalo, and he should. And nobody deserves to be talked about, especially when you're in the organization. It's one thing to scapegoat a guy. Oh, we fired him, right? Yeah, and someone takes the blame, and you can tell them ahead of them, hey, we need somebody to take the fall. It's going to be you. I'm sorry, but we're going to, it's just the way things are. It's just business. But to talk about him like that while he's on the team is even more disrespectful. So the Buffalo Bills ownership and Terry Pieguy, they're the reason the Buffalo Sabres have been a joke and continue to be a joke. But they're playing a little bit better this season. And the Buffalo Bills will continue to be a joke thanks to losing 4 Super Bowls in a row. John Harbaugh to the New York Giants. People think this is some grand masterclass move. I don't believe it. The Giants, they're not a competent organization either. I'm not buying the Harbaugh sauce. I don't think they're going to be that good of a team next season. But maybe a fresh start for Harbaugh. He could get something going. They're going to be a wait and see. I'm not buying that they're going to be contenders or anything like that. Maybe improvement, probably. Of course, the Dolphins, speaking about incompetence, fired Mike McDaniel. Before hiring a new GM, and then he gets hired right away. That's how like with Harbaugh, it's like, oh, Harbaugh's been there 20 years or however, like 18 years or something like that. Mike McDaniel's only been in Miami for what, four years maybe? And the fact that he got hired immediately tells me that it was the team, not the person. And the Dolphins are, and they did hire, who did they hire? Jeff Hafley as the head coach, the Packers defensive coordinator. I don't know who's going to be their offensive coordinator, though, because which didn't make any sense to me. I don't know why. If you're going to fire McDaniel, why would you go after a defensive guy? You have Anthony Weaver. You saw progress from that defense last season. We don't need a defensive head coach. It's ridiculous. So I think in Miami, complete. I don't think they know what they're doing either. Stephen Ross is another one. He's a little bit of a, he can be a clown. He can, maybe not a clown, but he can be, the ringmaster of the circus sometimes. We'll call him that. The Browns lose Stefanski. He gets hired right away. Another, you never want to, Atlanta hires him right away. Yeah, he's a good coach. I don't understand firing. He's won coach of the year multiple times, but then other bad organizations do bad things. And then Tennessee, I wanted, if the Dolphins are going to hire a defensive coach, Robert Saleh was the guy I wanted, because his defensive schemes are very good. You could have probably come up with something really good with Weaver, and he's an energy guy. And the Dolphins sometimes need an energy guy. McDaniel was an energy guy, kind of. He was a weird energy guy, but I like Robert Saleh. When I see him on the sidelines, I want to go out there and tackle people. Like, he's such a motivator. Like, he's into the game. You love to see that, and he's not like Aaron Glenn into the game where he's high stepping it down the sidelines. He's more tactically into the game, which is, and it's okay to be emotional on the sideline. People say coaches can't be emotional. That's to a certain extent. Like, you can't be high stepping it down the sideline like Aaron Glenn, but Robert Saleh's emotions, like, yeah, good job, guys, good job. After they've made a big sack, you know what I mean? But it's not like, we're planning the parade before the game's over, kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's a good. And the reason why Robert Saleh is a good hiring for Tennessee is because they didn't sign Matt Nagy. So good on you, Tennessee. You did not sign that guy. Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator, he's probably okay. He's not my favorite offensive coordinator, not by a mile, but head coach Matt Nagy, no thank you. All right, we had to 15 minutes. And we haven't talked about one of these games, so let's get into it. Just going to take a sip of water here. All right. Here we go. Denver, Colorado, Sunday afternoon. New England Patriots, Denver Broncos. Patriots 4.5 point road favorites. The total 42.5 here. The Patriots-Texans game was weird. A lot of turnovers. I bet on the Texans, and the reason I bet on the Texans is I thought their D-line would blow up this Patriots offensive line, and they did. The problem is C.J. Stroud played maybe the worst game I've ever seen in my life from a quarterback. And yes, the Patriots are blowing up the line of scrimmage. Their defensive line was blowing up the line of scrimmage as well. But, I mean, some of those interceptions, I mean, it looked like Carson Wentz out there. The Nathan Peterman. He had 4 interceptions in the first half. I'm watching. I'm like, is he going to pull a Peterman here? But then you think, but he has 4 interceptions in the first half, and the Texans were still in the game. Like, it was still a game. It was like 17-13 in the third quarter. So, the final score is kind of misleading. Even though New England did win and cover, did they really deserve the final score what was the final score? I don't even have that up. The final score was 28-60. Okay, maybe they deserved a 12-point win. CJ Stroud just turned the ball over way too many times. It was a turnover fest. It was bad weather, and Stroud couldn't adapt. Will Anderson is maybe the new best player in the league. He could be up there with Josh. We talked about Josh Allen a few minutes ago. I mean, Will Anderson Jr. is ridiculous. And obviously he has Danielle Hunter on the other side, so you can't really give him the Aaron Donald treatment, which makes him better, but ridiculous. On the other side, Denver, hard-fought overtime win. Of course, the big key takeaway, Bo Nix breaks his ankle in that game. It will be Jared Stidham starting, and Payton announced it right away, so they knew immediately. Stidham's gotten all the reps in practice, and everybody else is healthy for the Broncos. So this is full strength Broncos minus Bo Nix. So it will be Jared Stidham. The backup is Sam Ehlinger, and then the emergency third string signed off the ESPN desk, Ben Anthony DiNucci, BAD bad. The DiNucci sneak is back. The DiNucci sneak from a few years ago, and he did win I believe he won a game with the Cowboys. It was he cashed his rushing yard prop, which is what I had in that game. So Sunday Night Football a few years ago, you can look that game up. Ben DiNucci started for the Dallas Cowboys, and I believe they got the win in that game, if I remember correctly. But yes, they signed him off the ESPN desk. So now Jared Stidham hasn't had very many starts in the NFL. His numbers aren't great. So I feel like, and this opened New England 5.5. We have seen money for Denver, and I'm absolutely certain it's sharp money because I don't see the public backing Jared Stidham here against the New England Patriots, despite the revenge spot. The former New England Patriot, Jared Stidham. So, maybe he knows some things. Though that was a long time ago. That was it was post Brady, but it was quite a few years ago. Of course, Stidham was the guy Peyton brought in to replace Russell Wilson, and Wilson got benched a few years ago. Stidham, and he wasn't great. But again, like those teams, those week 17, week 18 games, how much is the team trying? How many, if you have a nick, you're probably not playing. The smallest little injury if you're a good player. So it's interesting to see, but we've seen Peyton do this before. We've seen Sean Payton win with backup quarterbacks. So I'm not ruling out the Denver Broncos here. In fact, I would only bet the Broncos here. I would only bet the Broncos here, and I'm going to explain why. So the last 2 weeks, the New England Patriots. So first of all, they had that cupcake schedule in the regular season where they basically only played the Bills. I mean they played the Ravens, but how good were the Ravens? So they had that cupcake schedule, right? Then they go first round of the playoffs. They play the Chargers with 5 backup offensive linemen, essentially. And the defensive line blew up the line of scrimmage. Milton Williams is back, blew up the line of scrimmage, won that game. They played Houston. Their offensive line was awful. They didn't have their starting wide receiver one. And the Patriots blew up the line of scrimmage in that game. The Patriots D-line blew up the line of scrimmage. CJ Stroud made a million mistakes, and the Patriots advance. Unimpressively again. Now you have to face a Denver offensive line that is pretty damn good. This Denver offensive line has been top of the league for a while now. And the Patriots, I don't know if they're going to be able to blow up the line of scrimmage like they had the last 2 weeks. In fact, I don't think they will be able to blow up the line of scrimmage from the defensive side of the ball. And on the other side, you saw what the Houston defensive line did to Drake May, 5 sacks last week. And then he was sacked it was 5 sacks against the Chargers. And then last week, let me just double check what he was sacked. He was sacked, 5 times again. So 10 sacks over 2 weeks against the Chargers and the Texans. Obviously, the Texans' defensive line is very good, and the Chargers' defensive line is all right. It's not the Texans, but it's there. I'm not sold that Denver's defense is as good as Houston's or Seattle's, but it is definitely the third choice. And we've seen lately this defense gave up 30 to Buffalo. Jacksonville cooked them a few weeks ago. It's been spotty for this defense. You can score on this defense. The reason Denver's won so many games is they play complementary football. When the defense has a bad game, the offense steps up. When the offense has a bad game, the defense has stepped up. The defense kind of needs to have a good game here because you're talking about a quarterback who you need to protect. He could turn the ball over, probably will turn the ball over. You're going to need to run the football here a little bit. New England's been very good against the run. That is a concern. They're probably going to make Stidham throw the ball. They have Sutton, they have Franklin, they have weapons. They have who's the tight end? They have a few tight ends. I think, but I think the game plan from Payton is going to be good. I think Payton is going to have a good game plan, and I think New England's going to be able to score a little bit because the defense really, the defense all season hasn't really been able to stop this Patriots offense. They've been very good. And it's the deep ball. It's the big plays. And the Patriots are feast or famine sometimes. It's, big play down the sideline. Oh, Drake May get sacked, loss of 10. So, but when that happens, of course, when the famine happens, the Broncos often get a short field. So the Patriots are an over team, in my opinion. I know a few weeks ago it was an under, but the Chargers were dead nuts under team, and we were on that under. But I like the over here. I think this is too low. I don't think the Patriots defense is going to be able to blow up the line of scrimmage. And I think Stidham can move the ball enough here with the running game to get to 20. And if the Broncos get to 20, I think the Patriots can get to 23 here. This total is low enough that we can get over 42.5. I do like that. I also like, and this is going to be probably a bit smaller, but I'm betting Denver in the first half on the, you can get plus 2.5 here, minus 105. But the money line, first half money line for the Broncos is plus 140. And I'm kind of interested in that. I mean, if it's tied, you push. But I think Payton's going to come out with a good game plan. I think the offensive line is going to be able to hold up and New England's got to go up to altitude. It's going to be a raucous environment, especially early. So I kind of like Denver in the first half. They're going to win the line. New England's been winning the line of scrimmage, especially on the defensive side. On the defensive side, New England's defense has been winning the line of scrimmage last 2 weeks. Their offense hasn't. But the defense has been winning line of scrimmage the last 2 weeks. I don't know if they win the line of scrimmage here. This is a very good offensive line. Like I said, everybody's healthy outside of the quarterback. And on the other side of the football, Denver's D-line should win the line of scrimmage. So Denver is going to be winning here in the trenches on both sides of the ball. The question is, can Drake May make those deep plays? And I don't know if he can early. I think the defense for Denver can be stout early, but I think as the game progresses, New England could take over. But in the first half, when Sean Payton's got the scripted plays going, and he's got, Stidham's going to be cooking a little bit. He's going to be finding wide open receivers. There's going to be some good run plays. I expect that out of Denver early, and then we'll see what happens late. But Denver first half on the money line, plus 140, and then the over 42.5 for the full game is too low. New England's not blowing up the line of scrimmage here. Denver's defense can be beat over the top, and New England is good with the deep play. So over 42.5 and Denver first half money line. And maybe I'll make a halftime play. I did not, by the way. I know I gave out I'll take a drink of water here for a minute. I know I gave out the Bills. I said if they were down one score at half, I was going to bet that they were down 2 scores. And I didn't bet them. I probably should bet them on the spread. I did look at the spread, but it was getting hammered, and I didn't get it in time. So I stayed off. I would have probably split regardless. So I probably would have bet some spread, some money line, and split. So it was not a good week for yours truly last week. The Bears covered, and the Seahawks, the best bet cash, but the other bets did not do so well. So we'll try to bounce back here. Those only 3 games, so no need to force action. All right. Let's move to the main event. NFC Championship game. NFC West showdown as well. Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks 2.5-point home favorites. The total here is 46.5. The Niners, the Seahawks game may have been the only game I've ever seen a -7 favorite have basically a wire-to-wire cover. They're up 7 after the first play of the extra point. That's hard to do. But we saw in the playoffs, special teams come to rear their ugly head. Oh, and look what we have here. When do the kicking and the special teams really matter? When the line is 2.5 or less than 3. And who's got one of the best special teams in the league? The Seattle Seahawks. And who has one of the worst special teams in the league? Oh, the Los Angeles Rams. There was some talk this week, some kicker talk said, and of course, Cowboy Keith loves his kicker talk, that the Rams should actually use both kickers this week because the thicker kicker, he makes field goals, but his kickoffs are poor, whereas the other kicker, I believe Jake Carty, or something Carty. His kickoffs are good, but he can't make field goals. So maybe they should play both kickers. Of course, you would lose a roster spot, but how hard is it to throw the ball? You're going to throw the ball to Puka 7 times anyways. So they didn't use Puka enough last week. I thought the Rams. I thought they were stifled. They didn't look good outdoors in the cold. This is the 3rd road game in a row for the Los Angeles Rams. Not exactly a great spot. Let's take a look at what the weather is going to be. So it'll be Sunday at 6 p.m. It looks like it's going to be cloudy, 2 degrees Celsius, which is 35 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to be okay. Only not much precipitation, very little wind. Interesting. It could be an over. That's over weather. Of course, we've seen an under, we've seen an over with these teams. Both games have landed inside this number. Neither team has won. Both teams won a game. One team won by 1 point. The other team won by 2 points. No team has beat the other by 3. Therefore, even though I know normal betting. A lot of bettors at less than 2.5, they'll just bet the money line because odds are the team's going to win by 3 anyways. But we've seen it twice now, so I would actually take the 2.5 if I was betting the Rams. The Seahawks absolutely destroyed the Niners. That game was over early. Okay, and when the Seahawks get a big lead like that, and they're able to run the football, and the Niners defense lets you run the football, guess what? Sam Darnold doesn't have to do much, and he gets to. But he has not been good since they've played the Rams. That Thursday night, Sam Darnold has been. His numbers have been mediocre at best. He's made mistakes. Of course, he hasn't had to be good in a lot of these games. Like last week, he didn't have to be that great against the Niners. He didn't. The last 2 times against the Niners, he didn't have to be great. 13-3 and then 41-6. He could sit back, hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker, and make a couple of throws to JSN, and that's it. Sam Darnold, game manage, and they're the Super Bowl favorites. They should be. They're at home for this game. They'll be favored next week. They have the best defense in the league. They have good special teams. It's just Sam Darnold. And then this line came out. I thought about taking Seattle. I thought maybe it goes to 3, but then the more I thought about it, I said, neither team's won by 2.5. There's betting by more than 3 so far this season against each other. There's betting respect for the Rams, and there's injuries in this game. I mentioned in the other game. Well, actually, there were some Patriots injuries. Sorry. I forgot. We'll go back quickly. Harold Landry and Marte Mapu both out or didn't practice Thursday for the Patriots. Landry is out. Mapu is questionable. Hunter Henry is questionable. And defensive tackle Josh Farmer is questionable. There's a couple of questionables on the Broncos, but everybody practiced, so I think they're all good to go except for Bo Nix. Dobbins remains out. Krul remains out. Linebacker Drew Sanders remains out for the Broncos. For the NFC Championship, we have Amari Knight tackled, doubtful. Josh Jones questionable. Charles Cross tackle will play. The left tackle will play, and another tackle questionable. There's cluster injuries at tackle, but it looks like the Seahawks starting tackle Charles Cross will play on Sunday, which really matters because we know we've seen it. Sam Darnold, you get pressure. He sees ghosts, see pumpkins. He does Sam Darnold things. In my opinion, the question, because Seattle's not going to be able to do what they did against the Niners. I don't think so. Not against this offense. Not against this team. But it's the 3rd straight road game for an old quarterback. All 3 outdoors. And, Nakua didn't look, I don't know if he's nicked up. He wasn't getting the targets he usually gets last week. The offense didn't look great against the Bears. They probably, I looked at the box score in that game. The Bears should have won that game. They outgained the Rams in yards per play totally. Like the Bears, usually a second half team, was tied at half. If Caleb Williams doesn't throw a couple of those interceptions, we're looking at Seattle, Chicago here. The Rams got away with one again. Win by 3. Just the form. I mean, the form is this is probably this is a little tougher. The other one, I think it's Denver or pass, just because you're getting 4. They're at home. New England, forgot to mention the history. New England stinks in Denver in the playoffs historically. They've been horrible. And the Sharps are on Denver. This game hasn't moved. I mean, there were some threes early, but the Sharps took the threes with the Rams. The Rams is a better team. Maybe. I think they are the better team, but again, they're on the road here. It's going to be loud. It's 3rd straight. This is going to be a mission. You got to get Darnold to pumpkin. This is the thing. If Darnold has a good game, Seattle is going to the Super Bowl, and they'll probably, and unless Darnold has a bad game there, Seattle's probably, if Darnold has 2 good games, Seattle's Super Bowl champs. The defense is outstanding. As long as the tackles stay healthy, because it could be. I don't want Greg Zabel playing tackle. That is a concern here for the Seahawks. We could see backup tackles, and I don't want that. I don't really want to have a Seahawks ticket with backup tackles. at the same time, I don't think I can get there with the Rams. I mean, I've been riding Seattle now. We had them twice against the Niners. I had them. I didn't have them against or did I have them on the money line against the Rams? I can't. I don't think I played that game, the Thursday night game. It's more expensive here, but again, the situation for the Rams is bad. And Stafford, he hurt his hand in Carolina. He didn't look great against Chicago. He didn't throw any interceptions though. But there was some fumbles that the Bears in the regular season recover those. They got a little away from them. Caleb Williams, DJ Moore runs a little bit better out. The Rams are home right now. But sometimes, the teams off the blowouts, maybe you don't want them. Maybe they haven't been tested, right? You got to get tested. But this is going to be a test. It's going to be a close game. I'm really I'm talking both sides of I'm on the fence here. I thought, I come on the show, I talk about this, I look at the stats and say, oh yeah, you got to bet one team, you got to bet the other. But it's just Darnold. Can I trust Darnold in the NFC Championship game? I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can, but I trusted them 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago in San Francisco. I trusted them last week for 7-point cover against San Francisco. The Rams have been shaky. It's a square bet, but yeah, I'd probably play Seattle here. I'm trying to think, the Rams defense is the only unit that it's they're good. And that concerns me. I think Seattle can beat this offense. I think they can hold this offense down. It can. The Rams defense might have to win the game here, is what I'm thinking. Like they did last week. Can they do it again? Because the Rams offense obviously won 2 weeks ago. This is tough. This is really tough. I really I want to give you guys something for this game. There's not really a prop I like either. The total is probably very fair. This could be high scoring. This could be low scoring. Maybe the total is a little bit high here. No, but it's perfect weather. Which the Rams have played they played in bad conditions last week. They played in good conditions in Carolina and went over the total. So maybe. No, I don't think I want the over here. I think I want the Hawks. Yeah, all right. Hawks minus 2.5. I'm betting it. Hawks minus 2.5. I think Sam Darnold can do it. I kind of want to be I only get 2 more chances. I'm most to bet this team. If they win by 2 again, I'm gonna hate myself. But this just and again, what did we talk about last 2 weeks? What matters in the playoffs? Special teams. Can we get one? I saw the kick return touch by Shaheed, and of course I had the Duvernay prop, and Duvernay just missed it. Do I bet Shaheed first touchdown here? I probably do. Yeah, I'm gonna play it again. I'll probably play Shaheed first. I mean, their special teams is horrible. Duvernay was mad at himself because he saw the green grass. So I'll be on Shaheed touchdown and Shaheed first touchdown. In addition to being on Seattle, I'm gonna trust the special teams here. I'm gonna trust Seattle special. I know it took them the look what I found 2-point conversion play, but I think in this spot the spot says you got to take Seattle. And come on, Darnold. You've been good this season. You haven't pumpkined yet. Don't pumpkin now on me. Seahawks minus 2.5. Pieguys bet for this game. All right. Thank you for watching. We stretched this out to 40 minutes. 10 minutes bashing the Bills, which I could do all day. Pieguy9871 Instagram, YouTube. Follow me. My best bet will be the over 42.5. Again, the bet sizes this week are going to be small. There's nothing I love in these games, but probably the biggest bet I will have over 42.5. I think Stidham can move the ball. I think the Patriots can move the ball. I think the Patriots defense is overrated, which is why I'm on the Broncos and the thing. And we'll talk about next week. I will have I'm pretty sure I'll have a Super Bowl unless it's Denver, Los Angeles. I know what side I'm going to be on in the Super Bowl. I'm fairly certain. And any matchup, if it's Denver, Los Angeles, I will have to think about it. But any of the other three matchups, I know what I'm betting. So, all right, that is it. Enjoy championship weekend. And next week, Pie Guys Pick'em, Friday, 6 p.m. And we will have multiple guests, CFL Stats Geek, potentially Cowboy Keith. I'm going to talk, or potentially, there could be a full house here. But CFL Stats Geeks will be here next week. Cowboy Keith, Johnny the Prop Man, maybe even Fantasy Jeremy could pop his head in. We'll see. But we're going to have lots of Super Bowl talk. I'm going to give you some bets. We'll have some prop bets next week. This week, like I said, the whole Stidham thing, how much, it's a wild card. And then the other game, it's really a coin flip. But I think the coin, it's a little more Seattle, which, the number adjusts for that. But I will, you got to bet. I'm going to be on Seattle. I think I'm going to just stick to my guns and bet the Seahawks every week till they lose. All right. That's a good one. We'll see you next week for another edition of Pie Guys Pick'em. Goodbye.